Prospect.
What? What? Prospect?
Guys, we made art.
Emma made art.
Well, we made art. Prospect is art.
We just spent half an hour talking about lyrics in the song Prospect. Words. This is what happened.
It's finally here. What a cool way to start the year.
No.
You guys,
Wow.
quit throwing stuff at my laptop.
That was better than I did.
I'm gonna turn my phone.
Oh, look.
Yeah.
At any rate,
So,
right on.
but yeah.
Anyway.
Some of you may have noticed from all of our posting that a couple of days ago we released our single Prospect.
It's basically all we've been talking about.
Yeah,
For
We're
some
pretty
time.
excited.
Mhm.
you can purchase and or listen to it from
Anywhere.
anywhere on the world.
So we've gotten a couple of questions from like friends and family about the song that it would be kind of cool to touch base on. I
We
mean,
figured since that's all we've been talking about for the last couple days, we'd talk about it some more.
something that my brother texted us the other day, wondering what the title Prospect has to do with the lyrics and the song in general.
I don't know, Riley, what does prospect mean?
So I have on my phone the definition of prospect. And so
Now
I'm
you've
just,
all
I
seen
don't
it.
think they can read that.
See,
Now you've
I
all
can
seen
read
it.
it.
You know.
See?
Okay, now you understand.
The definition of prospect is the possibility or likelihood of some future event occurring. So one of our ads that we did on Facebook have to do with a basketball. The idea of the song kind of came from an experience that my sister had when she played basketball in high school. She would travel around for basketball because she was really good at it and everything. And one of the games she had was in downtown Kansas City in kind of a more sketchy area. They had to like go through metal detectors and stuff and be escorted to the gym. Okay, well, how different would that area of Kansas City be if people just kind of chose to love each other instead? Like, would you need metal detectors? Like, probably not. The idea with prospect is that if we choose to be good to each other, if we choose to love each other, then the world will be a better place.
Which I think, at least the four of us and maybe even Yuki, who's over
Maybe.
there.
Tolkien's quote on like kindness. Some believe it is only great power that can hold evil in check, but that is not what I have found. It is the small, everyday deeds of ordinary folk that keep the darkness at bay. Small acts of kindness and love.
In the second verse, there's a reference to Moses. It talks about like who made man's mouth and who do we look to now. The story of Moses is, God's calling him to lead the Hebrews out of Egypt kind of thing, but he's like doubting himself because he had a speech impediment. And so he's doubting himself. He's like, no, I can't do this. And God's like,
Yes, you can.
You got this. Believing in yourself that you can do good things is another big part of it too, I'd say.
For me, at least, you probably have a lot of your own thoughts and stuff.
Yeah.
But the words were all written by Riley, but the beauty of poetry is that it can mean something entirely different to a completely different person.
And it's still valid.
Singing, yeah, exactly. It doesn't make it wrong. For me, singing the second verse when we took the song for tour over the summer, recording it in the studio, and all of the time that I have spent with the second verse, basically, and how the meaning has kind of evolved for me, I've got my own interpretation of how I phrase and think of the second verse that we can talk about in a sec. But if we want to go chronologically, Emma can talk about the first verse.
Well, actually, rather than the first verse, I kind of want to bring up the chorus because I sing the chorus as the intro to the song in a much different style than in the rest of the song. I remember when we were rehearsing it, I kind of made the decision to change just like one of the words.
That was a good decision.
And it was a cool moment. We had a really interesting conversation about it because Jack noticed, he's like, did you mean to do that? Were you, like, was that intentional? Like,
Yeah.
What's your thoughts? And I was like, actually, yes. Because that first line is, can the child that's in our hearts come out to play, learn to sing again? And then the next bit originally went, and darling, can you show the world that even after all, love is still our song? And I'm like, well, it's our song, so we need to show the world. In the first verse, I'm like kind of laying the foundation of like what we're going to talk about. see what's been defined, see what's been refined. A lot of people do bad things in response to other bad things.
One of the producers that we've worked with, he always talks about the idea of being proactive versus reactive.
Just because something bad happens or you have a bad day or someone's being, less than optimal to you, like, you don't have to react negatively. You don't have to then sit and dwell on it and complain and make yourself the victim. Like, yes, it's unfortunate. Yes, this is terrible. Whatever that happens to be, horrible, terrible things can happen. The difference between people that end up being like successful and happy and people that have a hard time is in this decision where they either just choose to like sit and dwell on it, or they look, okay, that happened. This is terrible. I've got to deal with it. Like, maybe I'm an emotional wreck, but now I can move forward. Now I can go and do this other option. Oh, I lost my job and my house burned down. That's horrible. That's devastating. But now you have the opportunity to move to some other place, or maybe you need to rekindle a relationship that you had with your family to get some support to help you get through this hard time. And maybe that's going to help you get somewhere that's better in your life. Like, there's always an opportunity, and being able to see things as opportunities instead of just circumstances will go a long way, at least for like me. Like, that's how I think about it.
Like, we know what lies ahead and what the alibis meant to me. Like, what your alibis, like your excuses meant to me. And some just might want to see it through as like, some just might want to like not be a part of this. Like, well, this isn't my problem. And then some people are like, no, we should check this out. Just to break it down, I guess, more literally. Yeah, I think that's pretty straightforward.
Some want to be immune and some want to see it through. That was actually a line that I changed a little bit. I don't remember what you had before, but I adjusted a little bit to get that multisyllabic rhyme.
Yeah.
But also, to me, it's what's your perspective on the things that happen to you, and do you choose to grow from it, or do you want to just pretend like it never happened?
Verses are personal. I think lyrics mean different things to different people based on their experiences.
Yeah, absolutely.
The whole world
Absolutely.
is
That's like, I think, like an inherent nature of art.
Oh yeah.
Like,
That is
and that's going to be true, I think, on pretty much whatever medium, whether it's visual art or it's media or it's music or whatever it happens to be. Like, that's going to inspire someone differently, just like Don said, like, based on your experience. The only way you perceive your world is through the collective, like, dissemination of like your experiences. Like, it's through your lens of the accumulated experience of your entire life. Like, that's why people have disagreements and arguments and they don't get along. It's because the way they perceive the same information is inherently different. You also don't need to be like capable of talking and discussing and growing it yourself.
Yes. I feel like everybody has this little goal. Like, the end goal is to make a difference.
Yeah.
If we can make somebody happier, if we can help somebody out through a hard time,
Just relate to other people. It's like, look, this is like how we feel, and this is who we are, like, as like real and authentically as we can be. And like, you'll probably see us cry. You're probably gonna see us talk about some heavy stuff, and we'll talk about some uplifting stuff. But like, that's just like, we're trying to share like who we are and what we've experienced, like, just truthfully and honestly and openly, because we feel like a lot of people feel completely isolated and alone and ignored, and they don't really feel like anyone else relates to how they feel, and no one else has experienced it. And that's,
someone likes to talk about it,
because no one wants to talk about it.
It's really looked down on in our society to kind of be emotional.
And it might make some people uncomfortable, and we're sorry about that, but like, that's not the goal. We really just want to relate. We just want to let you know that like, you are not alone. There are lots of people out there that care a lot about you. And like, a lot of times, like, if it doesn't feel like anyone does, like, maybe you have to be the first one to reach out and like let them know, like, hey, I know all this stuff's been really horrible, but like, I care about you. Like, I love you. Like, I'm sorry about whatever it is that happened, or like, I'm sorry I don't talk to you more, whatever it is. Like, get that started. Like, it's gonna be emotional, it's gonna be a roller coaster, but like, it's like doing that with like my dad and my mom and like some of my family stuff has really made a huge difference. And like, for like the first time, like, finally like having a better relationship with my family, and that's been awesome.
So if we can share that with anybody else in the world, that'll be an amazing next step.